If you have clicked on this video, then you are probably either going through some tough times in life or you know somebody who is. And perhaps you've tried everything else. You've tried friends, family, therapists. You've tried YouTube. You've tried podcasts. And not that there's anything wrong with those, but I have 3 reasons for you why you should try God. Try asking God to give you wisdom through your problems. There are 3 things that are different about His wisdom versus anyone else's. So let's get into it. All right, so we're going to look at why God's wisdom is different from man's. And we're going to be coming out of the book of James, chapter 1, specifically verses 5 through 8. But in these verses, we are going to see 3 aspects of God's wisdom that makes it different from anything else that we've tried. Because there are times when just no one else can help you. I think all of us, or at least most of us, have had situations in life where your family can't help you, friends can't help you. You may be able to have empathy, get empathy from them. They may be able to sympathize with you, but they can't figure your problem out. There are just certain situations in life that no one can help you. And in those times, rather than feeling stuck, rather than being discouraged and getting depressed, here's what we're going to do. We are going to look at how we should properly respond to when we go through trials and afflictions and life is hitting us from every which way. We either have bad health reports, or we're having problems with family members, maybe wayward kids, or maybe there are financial situations that are putting a lot of stress and strain on us. How can we respond? Because like I said, sometimes just talking to family and friends or even therapists is not enough. And it still feels hopeless, but it does not have to be. So let's take a look at the first reason why we should ask God for His wisdom. And that reason is found in James chapter 1, verse 5. And I'm going to read it briefly to you out of the New Living Translation. And it says that if you need wisdom, ask our generous God. Generous, and He will give it to you. He will not rebuke you for asking. Okay, so let's just quickly get a picture of the first 4 verses and the backstory here. So this book was written by James, who was the half brother of Jesus, because they have the same mother, different fathers. And James had become the leader of the church in Jerusalem at that time. And he, in the first 4 verses, he explains why you should respond and consider trials and tribulations and hardships in life with joy, and that you should look at them as being opportunities for joy. Okay, why and how? Those are the obvious questions. And he breaks down in the first 4 verses, which I'm not going to read just for the sake of time. He breaks down that every time you are going through something, you have the opportunity to determine how you're going to respond. If you respond in a pessimistic, negative way where you are discouraged and depressed and feeling hopeless, then nothing about your situation is going to change. In fact, in the later verse, he'll even say that you are putting yourself in a position where God can't bless you, God can't move when you have that attitude and you're looking at your problem from that lens. However, if you look at it with joy, because he says in the first 4 verses, this trial, going through this problem, this affliction, is going to produce in you perseverance. Some translations say patience, but what that word, whether your translation says patience or endurance or perseverance, that word in the Greek, it talks about not a patience where you just are kind of chilling out, relaxing, and just not freaking out while you're waiting for God to move and you're waiting for your breakthrough. Not sort of that patience where that's the kind of patience that, you need when you're waiting in line at the grocery store and you're being patient and you're not, blowing up on the cashier that the line isn't moving faster. Not that type of patience. But the Greek word here that says that trials produce patience in those first 4 verses, it is the Greek word hupomone. And that word means active endurance. And that is the ability to stay, to endure under immense pressure. And it's that quality that, unlike just waiting in the grocery store, it's that patience, that perseverance, that endurance that would maybe help you finish a 5K or help you push through a workout when you don't feel like it. It's that type of active endurance to stay present and stay in it until the pressure releases, but not try to get out from under it and not be passive and not active during the pressure, but you're staying put and you're hanging in there under immense pressure, which is a skill that any of us can use, because we're going to need that. Because life is difficult and we're always being thrown curveballs. But what you need is that ability to get through each trial and tribulation without it affecting you as much as it once did. So that patience and perseverance that you're going to get is something to be joyful and happy about, because it's going to set you up to endure the next trial and the next hardship without so much duress. So that is what he talks about in the first 4 verses. So how do we deal with trials and tribulations? That is what you're here for. And that's what he says in verse 5. Ask God for his wisdom. Why? Because this is your first reason. God's wisdom is not like man's wisdom. Yes, other people can give us advice if they've been through similar circumstances, but God's wisdom is tailored to you. He knows you from when you were created in the womb. He knows all the ins and outs of your personality. And so when God is giving you wisdom, which he says in verse 5, he will generously give to you. And he doesn't despise you for asking. He isn't counted against you for asking. He wants you to ask for his wisdom. And when he gives you wisdom, it is going to be tailored to you, to your strengths, to your weaknesses. If you are a person who does not like conflict, if you are a person who does not have strong boundaries, he knows that when he's giving you wisdom for how to navigate a problem, he has to take all that into consideration. Or on the flip side, maybe you're a person with a temper. Maybe you are, a person that easily gets discouraged. Whatever the aspects of your personality is, then God will take all of that into consideration when he is advising you in terms of how you need to move in a particular situation. So that is the first thing that you've got to remember. Your friends and your family, they only know the aspects of you that you've allowed them to know. And very rarely does one person know everything about you. Maybe your parents, maybe your spouse, but your friends and family probably don't know everything about you, not like God does. So reason number 1, his wisdom is going to be customized. So it's not going to be like any earthly wisdom that mankind can give you. Reason number 2, when you ask God for wisdom, you are understanding that there's a difference between wisdom and knowledge. And I think so many times we don't take this into account. We want knowledge. We want to understand, God, why is this happening? How do I navigate this? How do I get through this? Why did this have to happen? How is this useful? We want all the knowledge, which is that raw data, that raw information. But what wisdom does, so, when we talk to people about our problems, they can give us knowledge They can give us knowledge on how they handled similar situations. They can give us knowledge on what they think we should do. But the difference between wisdom and knowledge is that wisdom tells you how to utilize the knowledge that you have gained. So wisdom is the higher function. And so ask God for wisdom, show you how to use the information that you know, show you how to get the information that you still need. And that will give you a better strategy, a more complete answer to what you're going through than just having raw information. You may just have data. You may just have facts. This one did this, that one did that. But wisdom tells you, how do you view what this person did? How do you understand that person's intentions? Now, what do you do with all of that information? How do you use that information to then move forward? So that is the difference between wisdom and knowledge. And when you ask God for that wisdom, see, God sees that whole picture. He knows what this one did and why they did it. He knows what that one said and why they said it. He knows, what the bank is thinking, and that's why they denied this or that. He's got that total picture of not just all the knowledge and all the data, but he can then tell you how to use that. He can bring more information forward to you. And then you have the wisdom to put it all together and then formulate a plan. So second reason, God's wisdom differentiates between wisdom and knowledge, and his wisdom shows you how to use the knowledge that you've gained. Okay, so now the third reason that you want to go to God for wisdom and ask him how to handle life's struggles, challenges, and afflictions is because when you ask God to get involved in your problems, he is not only just showing you the plan, the way forward, but he's also showing you about yourself. I want you to see something here in verses 6-8. So we left off in verse 5. Verse 6 of James chapter 1 says, "But when you ask God, be sure that your faith is in God alone. Do not waver, for a person with divided loyalty is as unsettled as a wave of the sea that is blown and tossed by the wind. Such people, divided people, should not expect to receive anything from God. Their loyalty is divided between God and the world, and they are unstable in everything they do." Okay, so look, this is where you're going to come, when you ask God to get involved in your problem, you're going to come out with much more information than you went in with. You want to come out with, yes, a plan forward. And that is why you're asking God to get involved and you're asking him to give you wisdom. But what is he showing you about yourself? He's saying that you have to have faith in him, that he is able and willing to handle your situation. Because when you don't have faith in him, then you are like the waves of the sea. And that means you're double-minded. You're tossed here and there. You're unsettled. You're affected by every wind of doctrine, every wind of opinion, every wind of your feelings. And so he's saying that when you go through these trials, he's saying you've got to be undivided and you've got to have faith in him. So what does this do? This trial, this problem that you're dealing with, it will expose to you. And here's the third big takeaway. Not only does he give you wisdom and a plan forward, but he's going to show you what your faith looks like. He's going to show you how strong your faith is. These trials will expose your faith. It will show you if your faith is weak, if you're wavering, if you believe truly that God can and will help you. Now, why is that important? It's not important from God's perspective. I mean, he knows where you are with your faith. He knows if you're a little weak in your faith. But a lot of times we don't know that. We think we're strong in our faith until we go through a problem. I mean, and how many of us can testify in the comments that, we say we have a problem, we pray about it, we say we've given it to God, and the next hour, we're picking the problem back up. We're worrying again about trying to figure out how we're going to solve it with our own knowledge and in our own strength. And then we say, oh, no, I got to give it to God. So you give it to God in prayer, and then you pick it back up. And we're double-minded. We're back and forth. We're unsettled. And he's saying, no, you need to see that's where you are. Because when you know that you need to grow in your faith, he has scripture in Romans 10, I think it's verse 17, that tells us how to grow in our faith. It says faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. So you see the progression. This trial is going to expose to you where you are in your faith. And why is that so valuable? Because a lot of us we think we're stronger than we actually are. Until you go through the fire, that's when you oh God, and you see whether or not the problem sends you into bitterness and despair. God, where are you? You're supposed to be helping me out of this. Or do you say, all right, God, this is hard. I'm not sure what you're up to, but I know you're in control. And I know that you are going to never leave me nor forsake me. And I'm asking you, how do you want me to handle this? How do you want me to view these situations, circumstances, people? See, that is responding in faith. The other way is responding with doubt. God, I thought you were here for me. I don't know what you're going to do. What's going on here? Why is this happening? Are you going to fix it? Are you not? That's responding with doubt. And that's where you become double-minded in all your ways. And then, as it says in verse 7, such people who aren't firm and sure that their God is going to can and will deliver them according to his will, those people should not expect to receive anything from the Lord. Why? Because their loyalty is divided. That's what it says in verse 8. Their loyalty is divided between God and the world. They're unstable in all their ways. It's almost like they have too much faith to be called an unbeliever, but they have too much doubt to actually hold on and really allow God to let their faith activate and then be blessed through this trial and situation that he's going to bring them through. They're too much of both. They got too much unbelief and doubt and not enough faith, so not too much in both, but too much of one and not enough of the other. He said look, I can't bless you in that. You need to know that you know that I am able and will answer you according to my will. So if it is his will, because sometimes what you're asking for may not be his will. So, there's that aspect. But believing that he's bigger than any problem you're facing. So he can and he will answer you according to his will. That is when you can look to receive from God. So those are the 3 tips, my friend, for how and why you need to involve God in your problems and ask for his wisdom. It's going to be customized to you. It is going to produce a perseverance that's going to make you so strong that you can finish strong and you can handle future problems easily. And then third, it is going to reveal to you where you are in your faith walk and let you know, what work you have to do, because we're all a work in progress. And if you want to see how this looks, how you can go through a trial and actually be joyful in the midst of the trial and even be an example and motivate others even while you're going through, then I want you to check out this video right here, because we've talked about how David did just that. You're not going to want to miss that. That's one of the best stories in the Bible. So check out this video and I'll see you there.